Well, let's see, tomorrow I work 2 to 9, I think. I'll certainly reach out to you. What time is your shift?
11 to 7.
11 to 7, okay. Classic mid-shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lauren's laughing because we used to do a lot of those. I will reach out to you on Discord or text when I get out of work tomorrow and, talk to you about your first day back at work.
Cool.
And don't forget your lunch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got
packed a couple apples for you.
It's funny that you mentioned the veggies on the skewers because we made them on the skewers a couple days ago and we had a bunch of leftovers, so I'll be bringing like a big old bowl of veggies with me.
Can you imagine if you just brought them like on skewers?
That would
just
be weird.
whip that out on lunch. Some dudes at like the water cooler and they're like, the fuck? Is he eating like kebabs?
Cold skewers.
Oh man,
soggy and shit, because they've been in there for 2 days.
Yeah, you got soggy like artichoke hearts. They're all like shriveled. See, we should have kept recording.
Hey everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. You're listening to episode 32 for the week of July 7th, 2019. I'm your host, Drew, and I am joined by Independence Day Will.
Dude, I remember when I was 32, and now I'm 34.
Man, it boggles the mind. Pretty soon, we're going to be on episode 34, and then you're going to still be 34. And then we're going to be on episode 36, and I'm going to be 36.
Facts, my friend.
Yeah, that's what our listeners come to the show for, these kinds of facts.
How are you, man?
Well, you know what? That's
God
a really... I'm going first.
No.
What?
I'll wait. God damn it, speak.
Oh, man. I'm doing good.
Good.
I had a great holiday weekend. I got to spend a lot of time with some friends. Unfortunately, I had to make a trip to the walk-in clinic today. My buddy Vic, our good friend of the show and longtime listener, first-time caller. Vic had a large piece of metal in his yard, and it tried to slice my foot off.
What was it doing there? What was it?
Well, it was like buried in the ground, and neither of us know how long it had been there. But he's had that house for, I think he said he moved in there in like 97 or 98. So he's had that house like 20 years now. And it was like this piece of metal that was about, if you take your hand and put like your top, your 3 fingers together, it was like maybe that wide. But it was about the size of, from the tip of my finger down past the palm for length.
Uh-huh.
And I stepped on it barefoot, and it just sliced the bottom of my foot.
Jesus.
So it wasn't anything like too terrible. Like the cut itself was pretty minor, but it was, rusty metal in the ground. So I went and had a tetanus shot today. Good times, right?
Yeah. Gosh, what a strange occurrence.
Yeah. Of all the places, like I've been barefoot in that yard so many times, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, you would imagine that happening on a beach or in a junkyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Not so much somebody's backyard, which, mind you, seems to be very well maintained.
Yeah, no, he takes care of stuff. Like there's not like rusty nails all over the place.
Yeah, and did you say that you were barefoot or flip flops or?
I was barefoot, so that's my bad. I should have been wearing. Some sort of shoe thing, flip-flops or whatever. But, you're in a yard that you've been in dozens of times and you feel safe there and go barefoot, right?
Well, if you're in the Shire and you're a hobbit.
Okay. Wow.
That was such a condescending okay. It's like, okay, buddy, like, what you gonna tell me what to fucking put on my feet, dude? Like, I'm in my buddy's backyard. Like, let me be barefoot, dude. Let me hobbit this situation on the 4th.
Yeah.
That's one of the cornerstones of the 4th of July is being barefoot.
Yeah, exactly. You don't tell me how to walk. Well, now I have my tetanus shot, so I can do whatever the fuck I want for the next 10 years.
Hey, fair. That's fair.
How are you?
I'm well. I am well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else new that I can share here. Yep, Will's all set. Yep, he's well, and let's get back to the show.
Tell us about this ice cream you had.
Yeah, it was really good. We go to a local place that's down the road. It's a farm. It's kind of like a farmer's market kind of situation, and they do like 30 plus flavors of soft serve. So they basically take like a neutral base of soft serve ice cream, and then they flavor it somehow. I kind of want to know, but then I don't want to know because I just don't want it to ruin my experience. It's kind of like one of those things where you don't really want to know what's going on in Burger King. You just want to get your burger.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense because, I get burgers from there all the time.
Sure, of course.
But, being the carnivore that I am. But
oh, God.
No, it's a great spot, and it's great to go there on Sundays, so that's what we did. And I went in, like, not really a suit, but I went with, like, an untucked white dress shirt, dress pants, dress shoes, dress socks, dress belt, and, my sleeves rolled up, because that's how I do.
You just came out of work.
Yeah, I came out of work on a Sunday with a, half a suit on. It's a pretty normal thing. But, got some German chocolate cake with some chocolate sprinkles. And I got that on a small cone. And, it's one of those situations where you order a small and it comes out like an XL, because that's just what they do. And, enjoyed that, rushed home, and here we are. And we're ready to record episode 32. We're doing it now. We're live. We're on the air. And I'm excited to talk about quite a few things.
Well, before I start shelling out our social media and stuff, I have two questions for you real quick. Okay, first of all, what's your favorite video game, like, of all time?
Okay.
I know it's kind of on the spot, but this is going somewhere.
This is very on the spot. Of all time.
Yeah. I mean, you could change it. Like, you're not committed to life to this answer.
Okay. God, this is tough. I'm going to go with probably Asura's Wrath for right now.
If Asura's Wrath was an ice cream, what flavor would it be?
Okay. Mint chocolate chip, because that's one of my favorites.
All right. Cool.
I feel like you, like, had a notepad while you asked me that, and you, like, kind of wrote it down.
I should write this down.
And then, like, folded it up and, like, threw it in a drawer, and it wasn't, like, any regular notepad. It was one of those, like, black and white, like, memo ones, like those Mead. Remember those, like, remember those, dude? Like, those Mead notepads?
Those fucking things don't bend, man. Those binders on them, man. I hate those things.
Yeah, those and, like, 5-star notebooks, man. Those were the shit.
Yeah.
They still are.
5-star still makes a great notebook. As a former student very recently, I can attest to that.
Remember those, like, binders, those, like, 3-ring binders that had, like, the little, like, fold-over thing, and you were, the coolest kid if you had one?
Sir, those are called Trapper Keepers?
That's right, a Trapper Keeper. You gotta kind of be a kid in the 90s to experience those things.
Yeah.
I don't think they make them anymore.
I don't know. I haven't been shopping for Trapper Keepers in a long time.
Lauren says yes. She nodded her head.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to need 2 of those then.
Okay.
Folks, thank you for listening to us up to this point. Thank you for not hitting the stop button. We are Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. You can find us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGRPodcast. Please subscribe to the show if you have not already. If you're listening to us for the first time, thank you for doing so. Our show is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, anywhere you get a podcast, we are available. And of course, if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can do so at WDGR Podcast. Will, how can they find you?
Will_Gear.
And if you'd like to tell me your favorite video game as an ice cream, you could do so at Scion Storm. So,
yeah, I remember you said that you were going somewhere with that, and I feel like we didn't go anywhere.
I mean, I have mounds of information based on your answer alone.
Yeah, in that Mead notebook.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So what are you playing these days, man?
I popped in Doom, finally. I'm very impressed with it. Very impressed with it.
I'm so happy you're finally playing this game.
I feel like I'm glad you are. I'm glad I am. But I feel like The Rock directed it. Okay, hear me out.
Where are we going with this?
Okay, so you know how like you get to that point where you grab your helmet and you're kind of looking at it, and it's a very sort of like, I don't know, like a John Wick suiting up kind of situation. There's even a part where you're in like an elevator or something, you're like cracking your knuckles and kind of like getting your arms together and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, this was directed by Dwayne Johnson.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that too, because there was a Doom movie back in the early aughts, and
yes,
he was in it.
Yeah, he was. I actually totally overlooked that because I've often made fun of that movie, even though I've never seen it.
I mean, from a fanboy perspective, it's pretty terrible, but no, it has its moments. Like, there's this whole thing where they go into like first person mode when he has a berserk pack, and I don't know, like I kind of marked out for that.
Yeah, and that's what I remember from one of the trailers. I think is they actually show like a first person mode in the movie, and I was like, oh god, no. I think that was like my reaction, like when that movie was first like announced.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I enjoyed what I played. It's
good.
Super fast paced. I'm not used to playing those kinds of games or those kinds of shooters, so it was really refreshing and kind of surprising for me to venture back into that world of Doom and Quake, and all of those games are very fast moving. You know, you push the joystick and you're flying across the fucking map. Yeah. So it took me a while to adjust to that because I'm used to, Skyrim and Sekiro and like all these kind of slower, almost kind of clunkier games in a way that just control totally different. But it was refreshing to play Doom and experience that unrealistic movement, which I think is essential for that kind of format of just demons everywhere and they're jumping out of orbs and like, the blood and the guts and the unrealistic guns. I mean, that's what makes Doom.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
and same with Quake and Unreal.
Totally. And it's part of the charm of those games, I remember playing like one of the first levels in 2016 Doom, and you're essentially just moving nonstop. You really don't ever stand still. And even if you're going around in a circle, through the level just to kind of get a shot at somebody else before they shoot you, like you're just on the move. There's no cover. There's no hiding. You might sidestep briefly to get out of the way of like, an incoming fireball. But other than that, it's about forward momentum.
Yeah, I think it's going to now be my go-to fallback game, along with Skyrim, which I'm seeing those two games as like, this is what I'm going to fall back to when I'm not playing like my main games, right? Like Sekiro and whatever else. So I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I want to get back to it as soon as possible. Like I said, I kind of just played the intro, but it was enough for me to at least get a feel of what this game's going to be all about. Yeah. I loved the intro. I think that it's very like Dead Space-y in kind of a way, which is kind of like the control systems and some of the things that you're experiencing, and like you're kind of in that same sort of situation where there's just like kind of hell in space and I dig that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, the story itself is paper thin, but it does a really good job of establishing the atmosphere right off the bat. And, I think the whole thing where you're waking up, you come out of this tomb in which you've been chained down to, and you just like wake up, you crack your knuckles, you grab the helmet, and you get to work. Like, they set the tone for the entire game in a span of like a minute and a half, and it's just...
Exactly.
It's so fucking brilliant. They're like, this is no nonsense. You're here to kick everyone's ass. That's it.
Yeah, and like it kind of, made me think about, you remember like the Doom guy's face? I mean, I shouldn't say this because you're a Doom like expert, but you remember like the face like in the original games, and you can see the expressions and stuff. It kind of made me think of that and how Doom has always been a game about just, you're here to put in the work. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hell. But it's about having fun and just kind of killing shit. And, they've really mastered that. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited that I own one of the best Dooms around. So
Yeah, I'm really glad that you're finally playing it. It's not a terribly long game, so if it's the type of thing that you want to, like you can make it your main game, and finish it in a couple nights if you really wanted
nice.
to. Yeah, it's not super long. I mean, there's some side stuff. Keep your eyes open for switches that look like pull levers on the ground. Kind of like the levers in Inside, which we'll talk about later. That kind of thing. They will open up a door to a part of the level that is modeled after a classic Doom level completely. Graphics, music, sound, everything. You go into this room, and it's just like you're stepping through a portal back in time. And it's such a cool throwback to the original games. And then there's also a lot of collectibles around the map too, so you'll start to find little Doom guys that look like Funko Pops. And they every time you pick up one, your character does a different kind of animation. So like you'll see him like take one of them and give it a fist bump, stuff like that. It's really cool. It's a nice little, just neat little addition. But it gives you a reason to explore the game, and usually in the process you'll find something cool like extra ammo, big boost to life, or something of that nature. So Doom has always been about destroying as much stuff as possible first, but there is an element of exploration in that game as well too, and they usually make it worth your while to go back and find the secrets.
That's cool, man. I am really looking forward to all of that, and I feel like it was kind of like when you pop in the movie 300 or you come across that movie on TV, it's like that same effect where you're just like, like I forgot what it was like to be a man,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's what's really cool about Doom, man. It's like they're really good about, adding a lot of masculinity into their games, and I think that's important, man. Like, anyone can play Doom. You don't have to be a male, but it's nice to have that refreshing, sort of mindset of like, okay, I'm here to do the work. This is what I'm meant to do, and let's get it done.
It's definitely testosterone fueled.
It is, and you're right about Mick Gordon. He's the guy who does the soundtrack, right?
Yeah.
Like just the menu music alone, I just felt like sitting there and just like listening to it. It was very, like you said, very degent, very chuggy.
Mm-hmm.
And it just felt like, sort of B-sides of like a Devin Townsend album, and I was all about it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is an incredible soundtrack, and it finds this nice balance between atmosphere and just like bludgeoning guitars.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Like if you ever go on YouTube and check out the videos, like he'll post videos of him playing the songs, and he's got like one of those keyboard setups where he's like freaking unhooking wires and plugging them into the keyboard to get these different sounds. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's a Moog, but I have no idea what kind of keyboard it is. But
that's cool. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely check it out, man. I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more and reporting on it more for the next episode for sure.
Awesome. I finally have sat down and started playing a game I've had on my list for a very long time. Dandara is a Metroidvania game, and I was planning on picking this up on the Nintendo Switch whenever I got that, but it was been on Game Pass for a little while now.
Okay.
And I put it on my list. I downloaded it. And I'm like, let me get to this when I clear some stuff out. Well, got an email the other day that said, hey, the following games are being removed from Game Pass at the end of July, and Dandara is one of them. The guys over at Stone Age Gamer, which is a podcast I'm a big fan of, they had talked about this game in length and basically sold me on it. And I'm like, all right, I have to play this. So I'm going to try to beat it before it's off Game Pass, but if not, I'll probably end up buying it.
Okay.
Really, really clever concept. It's a Metroidvania game in style, but not in mechanics. You don't walk or run. You basically launch yourself from point to point on the ceiling and the floor. Basically, you have like, let's say, think of like your Metroid game. You have your ceiling and the floor, and you're kind of running in between, right? In Dandara, there's these patches of white. They're kind of like basically hitboxes of sorts.
Okay.
And your character jumps in like a launching kind of thing, and zigzagging from white point to white point. So it's it's not really even a jump. It's kind of like I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Cammy's spiral arrow is kind of like that, but like at Mach 3.
Ah, interesting.
And the game is a little forgiving with the controls, and you can get it so that you're bouncing from point to point to point, so you can jump, and you kind of get this rhythm going. But then, of course, there's enemies that come at you too, and you have to kind of retreat a little bit because your gun, at least at the stage in the game that I am, it's a charge weapon. It's not just press and shoot, so you have to kind of plan out your attacks, and it plays a little bit more defensively than I'm used to, which is a nice twist, And the other thing too is because you're jumping or warping from point to point, it frees up the game for not just being horizontal but vertical too. So you can essentially, if there's like a part in the map where it kind of goes up, like you could jump to a point that's on the side of the walls, and then the game world will spin. So now the side is the floor, and you can continue down your path. And when you come back to that part, it reverts back to the way it was. So you're constantly going left or right, but you can kind of pivot the game world 90 degrees if you decide to go up onto like a ceiling path or something like that.
That's interesting, man. I really want to like kind of check it out now.
It's really cool. I guess it's based on some sort of a Brazilian warrior. I don't really know much about it. I'm looking at the Wikipedia article right now, and Dandara was an Afro-Brazilian warrior of the colonial period of Brazil and was part of the Quilombo dos Palmares, settlement of Afro-Brazilian people who freed themselves from enslavement.
Wow.
This is like the 1690s, and it was a woman. She was arrested, and she committed suicide, refusing to return to a life of slavery. So it's very interesting. Yeah. I didn't realize it had historical background to it. So that kind of opens up a little bit more of intrigue to me, because you're playing this character and very little is known about the character. But it's just it's a really fun game. I'm looking forward to circling back to it. I paused it just to start working on Inside, which we'll talk about later. But this is a lot of fun. A lot of fun so far.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out on like YouTube.
Yeah, I think it's worth a look. It's indie developer Long Hat House, and I believe they are also a Brazilian company, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, check it out.
Interesting. Yeah, I certainly will, man. So that's what you've been playing, huh?
Yeah, that, and a little bit more Spider-Man, but I really don't have too much else to report. I think I'm finally in the end game of that. I think I got about 75%, 80% through. So I anticipate I'll beat Spider-Man before the end of July.
Okay.
Which will be huge because I don't beat games anymore.
Yeah, that makes two of us, my friend.
Oh, God. I can't wait to beat that game because I really want to move on to... I want to finish up Prey, and then
Horizon?
Horizon, I think, is going to be that game that I just kind of always have. So... I would like to beat Horizon, but I really want to start playing God of War. And I'd really like to try out Nier Automata. And I've had both of those games on my shelf since Black Friday. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm always, plugging you to finish Horizon, especially with like all those gifts that I send you on Twitter.
Yeah.
Which I, just make the game look amazing.
It is so amazing. Like, look, listen, I'm gonna pop it in out of the blue after I finish Spider-Man, and I'm gonna fall back in love with it again. I'm gonna talk about it for 3 weeks, and then I'm gonna play something else.
That's fine, man. I want to be like resold on that game,
Play it for 5 minutes, and you'll be sold.
Yeah, those gifts. I mean, god damn, dude, that guy. Maybe we can get him on the show.
That'd be cool.
Because that guy is amazing at what he does. And, for folks listening, this guy, we'll drop his name in the comment section or the Discord or whatever. But he's amazing at making GIFs of games. And he just makes them look incredible. Sun He Legend, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, check him out on Twitter. Like I said, we'll leave the link somewhere in one of the rooms, and yeah, check it out. He makes games look incredible.
Yeah. Those every time you tag me in something, it's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of questions in our listener mailbag, so I want to thank everybody for sending them in. By the way, if you have a question for us, join our Discord. We have a link for that in the show notes. You can also send us a question directly at WDGRPodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on any of our social medias as well, too. That'll do the trick. But first of all, we basically ask people what they're playing, what's on their mind this week, and let us know what your favorite patriotic game is. And we only got one patriotic answer from Saikoro. He says, BioShock Infinite, the insane amount of cerebral and slanted perfectionist patriotism is one of the best examples I could think of. If you want a patriotic propaganda in a game that draws from segregation and profound racism, look no further. BioShock Infinite has been on my backlog for years. Yeah, when it came out, like I was a huge fan of BioShock 1 and 2, beat them both, couldn't wait to play Infinite, but money was tight, so I didn't buy it when it came out. And then, of all places, I found it for $5 at Walmart for a brand new copy on the clearance rack. I picked it up, still didn't play it. and here we are, now it's 2019. I have not played BioShock Infinite, despite being a massive fan of the original two games.
Yeah, it's funny, when you mentioned kind of picking it up and not playing it, I feel like we are masters at that. Masters of picking up games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were you about to say I don't know what you're talking about?
I was.
I feel like you were.
I was.
You were trying to duck out of that issue.
What?
Look, man, you heard it on the episode that I did with Tom. You have a miniature Gamestop in that room.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I have that game too. I got it free with PlayStation Plus on.
Yeah,
PS3.
it's also been free on the Xbox as well too. So I have like 4 copies of this fucking thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yep, hence the GameStop. How many copies you got? 4? But yeah, it's I don't know, man. I've seen gameplay of it, and it doesn't really fit the bill that I'm used to. However, Damien did sell me on it. Like, I want to say, I don't know, a couple months ago, he had spoken to me about it, either over Discord or text, whatever. And he said it was very Christopher Nolan-esque at times in terms of the way that the story is told. I love Chris Nolan. I mean, who doesn't? So once he kind of told me that, I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to fire this bad boy up. And, of course I didn't.
Good job.
Yep. Kind of succeeded there. But, yeah, it's not going anywhere. I got PlayStation Plus, and, it's free. It's there. It's downloaded. It's ready to go. And, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the beautiful thing with a lot of this stuff is, as long as you have access to the system it's on, and hopefully the servers don't go down, for PS3 where they're no longer selling that stuff. But, yeah, man, I mean, like, you should still have access to it until you're ready,
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing that makes me nervous about digital. Like, Dandara, for example, is being pulled from Game Pass. And there are games that I've downloaded on Xbox Live Arcade that I've paid for that are no longer available. They get pulled for whatever reason. And that's just one of the dangers of digital. But that's a whole nother show. I'm sorry I even brought it up.
No, it's all right. What else do we have for questions?
Let's see here. Saikoro also asks, what games do you consider art house? He recently completed Shadow of the Colossus on PS4, and it's a perfect example of how games can be artistic experiences.
This one really resonated with me because, I spoke about this game. I was playing it at one point, and I spoke about it on the show.
Yep.
And, I'm glad that he played it and beat it. Damien's really good at beating games because he, streams them and has an obligation and is just good at it.
He's just destroying his backlog right now.
He really is. And it's very, I'm envious. But, he's putting in the time, he's just getting it done. He's dooming it,
Yeah.
He's putting on the helmet. All right, that's enough. But yeah, no, I what games do I consider art house? I mean, that seems to be one of them. I mean, even though I haven't finished it, I would say that it probably falls in line with that kind of genre.
Yeah.
You know, Journey, a lot of indie games I think fall in line with that. It's yeah, I think it's a really good point. I think that, you know, playing that game and saying that it can be a perfect example of how games can be an artistic experience is 100% true. And, you know, there are a lot of games that don't have that same quality. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I've already kind of listed what games I would consider art house. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I think anything by that team really qualifies. You have Shadow of the Colossus, you have Ico, you have Last Guardian. You know, all those games kind of have the same vibe, the same feel, and I do think that they're very artistic. And I think, you know, like, art house is, or a game being artistic is such a vague term because there's different ways that a game can be artistic. It can be beautiful, you know, visually stunning, or it can be something that makes you think. So, like you mentioned BioShock Infinite before, you know, that could be a game that makes you really think. You know, that could be an artistic thing. I thought of there's an indie game on the PC called Papers, Please, where your job is basically a border agent for it's supposed to be Russia, but it's not, you know, by name it's not Russia, but you're basically making sure that people that are crossing this border are who they say they are, and you're judging people based on the passport that they give you and the pay stubs that they show you, and basically making decisions of whether or not this woman who's trying to feed her 3 kids is actually who she says she is, and letting her cross the border, or if she's a terrorist, you know, things like that. So that's a good example of a game that makes you think. Prison Architect on the PC is another one where you're building this prison and you're bringing in all these inmates, and on the surface, it's just a micromanagement game. You're trying to manage these people, make sure that their needs are fulfilled, that they have toilets, that they have showers, that they have recreation time. But beyond that, you start implementing things like whether or not to have the death penalty, or whether or not to, you know, give them high quality food or give them lower quality food, and balance all these different things out. And then there's, I mean, I haven't played the game in years, but they started adding like all this kinds of stuff, you know, churches, schools, workshops, things to, you know, treat them like cattle or treat them like kings, you know?
Interesting. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
So I like games that are cerebral in that way. When I play a game that makes you think, to me, that's something that jumps out as being art house. And it might not be the prettiest looking game. Papers, Please is, you know, pixelated art with almost zero animation.
Yeah, but I will say, and this is a game that we need to add to our indie playthrough list, The Swapper. Have you heard of this game?
Oh yeah, I have a copy of it that I have yet to play, but yeah, that is something that you've talked about, and actually Damien has mentioned in the past as well too.
Yes, so I introduced that game to Damien, and I want to mention that game because I would consider that art house.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, I should really research what art house is defined as now. But when I think of it, I do think of a game like The Swapper because Damien and I discovered, I think shortly after we played that game, that most of the animation and most of the what you see in the game is actually created by clay. Like
wow.
Real like clay like sculptures and stuff that they somehow implemented into the game.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. So it was kind of a weird process, but I would consider that art house, and that game is stunning. It's very simplistic in terms of visuals, but excuse me, what they have there is just it's an absolute work of art.
I've only seen
an incredible game.
Yeah, I've only seen like stills of it, so that is definitely something that I would love to, you know, commit to. So maybe after Inside, we should make that our next priority.
Yeah, that's a headphones late at night kind of game, and I hope that you're playing Inside that same way.
I've been playing it with the air conditioner on and the TV speakers.
Alrighty. Well,
but there's still time. There's still time.
There's still time. You can save yourself.
I can save myself. So I only have stereo headphones for the Xbox, though.
Okay. Well, you know, whatever.
They're better than nothing. Let's see here. BGI BIX says, I have been playing Kingdom Hearts 3. Weird how it has a nice Disney anime feel to it. Kingdom Hearts is a series that I have always had a bit of a curiosity to, but I've just never dipped my toes in the water. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about it. I love RPGs. I love Squaresoft. I don't really have any kind of particular attachment to Disney per se. But I feel like Kingdom Hearts 1 was really well received, and I think it's one of those games that at some point I'm just going to have to knuckle down and play.
Yeah, I just don't know anything about those games. Like, I know they're really huge, and they were popular when I used to work at EB Games, which was, oh my God, that was like 2004. Somewhere, I think 2004 I worked at EB Games, and I remember there was a Kingdom Hearts coming out. I don't know if it was the first one, second, or what, but I remember everybody coming in was trying to get that game.
Yeah. I mean, when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, the internet was talking about it basically nonstop. Then the game came out, and then nobody spoke about it anymore. It's kind of weird.
That is weird.
Puxor asks, any more cool yard work / house stories like the tree?
Stumpy Vendetta.
Stumpy Vendetta. We should have called the episode that. I've been really bad with the naming of the episodes lately. Well, so nothing like cool like that. I guess the coolest thing is probably when I nearly chopped my foot off yesterday. But so we have a vegetable garden, and it has just been doing like amazing. Like I pulled before we recorded, I was in the garden and I grabbed 4 zucchini and a squash.
Sure.
And then 2 days ago, we pulled out like 2 squash and 2 zucchini. No, I'm sorry, 3 and 3. And we have this head of broccoli that's starting to come in. And I've never grown broccoli before. I've never grown anything before, but like my father, when I was growing up, he had a garden. So like I'm kind of used to being around tomatoes and squash and cucumbers and shit like that. I've never even seen broccoli grown, and this broccoli head is like plowing out of the ground. It's so fucking crazy, man.
Weird. Yeah.
I have jalapenos that are growing, and they're literally like forming before my eyes. It's so amazing.
That is cool. You should set up like a time lapse camera or something.
That's a good idea. It's probably too late now, but maybe next year.
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people do gardening now. Growing vegetables. It's become a very popular thing to do.
When we bought this house, that was one of the first things that I wanted to do. I grew up with it, so it's kind of in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing better than just going out to the garden and grabbing a tomato and just biting it right there.
Sure, or just like tossing it in a salad.
Yeah, I mean, we can literally go out to the backyard and get everything we need for a salad. For dinner, I can make an entire meal just from stuff I've grown. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, you certainly could. You could do like roasted vegetables. You could do, vegetable kebabs like on the BBQ.
Yep.
On the 4th, which is when a lot of people BBQ things.
Yep.
Oh, that's a cat. My God.
Yeah. This is what happens when I don't close the door to the office.
Somebody wants their fancy feast. Prince Metro.
Oh, that was Dax, actually.
King Dax.
He's a loud one. Let's see here. Let's go back to the mailbag and ignore the cat. Let's see. Well, that's everything, I think.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, well, there really isn't anything else.
Yeah, Tom failed us. Like, he was too concerned about, other things.
I guess so. Thanks, Tom. Well, you know what? He helped us out 2 episodes ago, so I guess he's done.
Yeah. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, buddy. Anyway. So, let's, do you want to talk about Inside next?
Yeah,
or do you want to get to the polls?
Let's do Inside, and then we'll move to polls. So, you played about 2 hours, you said, right?
Yeah, I didn't get as much progress as I thought I would. There was a lot of distractions in that 2 hours, but I did put in about 2 hours of game time total, I would say.
Okay.
And so far it's not what I was expecting at all.
Let's hear why.
Well, no, I mean, I like it. First of all, let me just say, for the record, I do like it very much, and I think I like it better than Limbo.
Good.
Because it's something that it's more identifiable. for me,
Yep.
and the genre I think is more to my liking. It's less horror and more sci-fi.
I would
I
say
guess.
so, yeah. In kind of a weird way. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it's very interesting watching this character. Is now I'm assuming it's a kid again, right?
Yeah, it seems to be like a little bit older,
Like a
than the dude.
teenager.
Yeah, teenager. I would say so, yeah.
It's kind of interesting seeing him go through this whole ordeal, and first of all, you're being chased by people and you don't really know why.
No.
And then you start coming across other people who are essentially zombies. And there's all these like mind control things that you can like put your head on and essentially control the zombies with your own motions.
Incredible concept.
It really is. And it's a very clever puzzler.
Very. And, even when I experienced that last night when I was playing, I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot like how amazing this is.
Yeah. There's only been one point where I got stuck and I've had to look up something. And in hindsight, I just realized that I was pretty fucking stupid.
Well, that's what that game's so good at doing. It's like I said on the last episode, like when you think that it's the right thing to do and it doesn't sound like the right thing to do, it is the right thing to do. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but a lot of times you'll be thinking, oh, there's no way that that's what I need to do. And then you do it and you're like, oh, that is what I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, I was just so completely oblivious to what the solution was to the section. And then I looked it up and I looked at the screen and I'm like,
yep.
You fucking idiot.
Yep. Those games are really good at doing that. Playdead, who's the dev or the devs behind these games, they're really good at creating those puzzles that you often want to kick yourself once you figure out how to do it. However, in Limbo, I think we both agreed there were some that were you just kind of almost had to look it up unless you spent just like an eternity trying to figure out some of them.
Now, in your playthrough, have you been going looking for the secret stuff too?
Not intentionally. I'm pretty sure that I did find something last night that
There's
I
like
didn't...
these glowing green kind of things.
Yeah, I think I got one when I played last night.
Okay.
Because I didn't recognize like what I collected. I went to an area and I got like an achievement for it, so that might have been an indication that I had never done it before. But yeah, I'm not really going out of my way to look for that sort of stuff because that's just not really what I do. But I might pay a little bit more attention on this playthrough.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to grab them whenever I can. I'm not using any kind of walkthrough to help me find them though. But I'm the kind of guy who, anytime I'm playing this type of game, if there's an opportunity for me to backtrack or if I see something that looks out of the ordinary, I'm going to do everything I can to get there until I'm absolutely certain that I can't get there.
Yeah.
So I think I found 3 or 4 of those things so far. And, it's a nice little reward for kind of going out of your way to get that achievement. Each one gives an achievement. And, I remember that from Limbo too. I enjoyed it. It was some kind of like a white blob or something. I don't remember what it was in Limbo, but, so far so good. Like, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this game goes. I feel like it's telling a better narrative than Limbo did.
Yes. Limbo is incredibly vague, and really very distant, from any sort of story really. Whereas Inside has a very clear message, and it's kind of what I said last time. It's like, where am I? How did I get here? And how do I get the fuck out? Yeah. And that's really how I think of that game, because it's the reality. You kind of just drop in, right? From like this weird, it's almost like you kind of fell, right? Like the way that like the game starts, it says inside and you have to kind of hit X. And then all of a sudden you kind of just fall in from what seems to be kind of a wooded area, right? It's obviously at nighttime. The sound effects, I think, or the sound design is top notch. I mean, just the sound of that truck and just like every little sound and nuance is so well executed. And when you play with headphones, you can hear the character that you're playing breathing more heavily when there's intense situations. So they've put a lot of care into the sound design for sure.
And I really appreciate the light as well too, especially when you're dealing with sections that have like headlights from a vehicle, or like there's a section where you're running past two robots who are searching the area.
Yep.
And you're hiding behind these beams to kind of bounce from one to the other.
Yep.
And the way the lights are in that, despite the game being, fairly stark colors, there's not a lot of vibrancy to it. It's just, man, like it's really very well done.
You know what's interesting about it too, and I noticed this again last night when I was playing, the way that the game is, the way that the camera is, like the viewpoint of what you're actually doing is very interesting, because you have, it's essentially like a side-scrolling 3D sort of situation, right? Like it's not, you can't really move in any other direction, really. It's more just kind of back and forth and jumping and whatnot, but they do a really good job at unfolding the story in the background, right? Like, so you're not watching your character the whole time. A lot of times you're just moving in the same direction, and you're watching everything that's going on in the background. And that's what's really kind of clever, is there's not many games that really do that well, where their story is essentially unfolding in this 3D sort of background world while you're just kind of side-scrolling and kind of watching it from the sidelines. It's really very neat.
That's a good way to put it, There's a lot going on back there, and if you're not paying attention to it, it's something that could easily just go by you, and you miss out on some key details.
Yeah, it's like the story and the enemies and the other characters have mobility in those areas, and you're only allowed to kind of walk in this treadmill kind of situation, right? So it's a very interesting way of telling a story with no narrative, and very clever if you think about it, because like they made a game, and you'll understand once you beat it, that tells a story with no words, no narrative, no nothing. It's just visual sounds, and that's it. And it tells the story very well. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting back to it, man.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
I'm hoping I can load it up tonight. I'm sure I'll have some time.
Yeah, that's my plan too. After we get the show edited and everything, I'm going to see if I can spend some time with it, because it's a lot of fun, and it's definitely capturing my interest really quick.
Good.
So this is a much better game for me than Limbo was so far.
Good. I'm glad to hear.
So we should have, hopefully, both of us will have that finished by next week, and we give our final thoughts on it. So stay tuned, everybody, for that.
Yes.
Back to the Discord room. We have been in the process of planning a game night, or game nights, I should say, for a couple weeks now. And a couple days ago, we threw up some votes of essentially a list of games that everybody kind of put together. And I just wanted to kind of talk about I guess you could say the finalists, because there were some clear winners here. And we're going to set this up for one final round of voting. As it stands right now, we have a couple days a week that seem to work better than others. So we're going to kind of put these up for those days. And leading the pack with 5 votes is PUBG for the Xbox One, followed by Rocket League, also with 5 votes, which has crossplay for all platforms. And then we're moving on to Gears of War 4 with 4 votes, Halo 5 with 4 votes, and Battlefield Bad Company 2 with 4 votes as well, too. And that's on the Xbox 360/Xbox One. So we're starting to get a game night together, and it's a little shooter heavy, which is not surprising. But how much experience do you have? Is Bad Company 2 is the only one that you really spent some time with, right?
Spending time with that game is kind of you're sugarcoating in a way, because we've spent or I've spent along with pretty much everybody in this group hours with that game, weeks, years. Just an incredible amount of time has been put into playing that game. And, spending time with it is definitely putting it lightly. It's an incredible shooter, and I really hope there's a way that we can revive that somehow.
Well, I mean, right now it's leading the pack as far as votes go, or it's leading the majority of the other games. So I think there's a good chance that it'll be part of the game nights. Now, do you still have an Xbox 360, or do you have access to the game?
Unfortunately not. I would have to, at this point, either get it on PS3
Mm.
or PC, and that's pushing it, because that's tinkering with things, which is something I don't do.
Right. Let me see. Because I put it up for vote on PS3 and it got 0 votes.
Right.
So, yeah. if you're gonna play this, if you're gonna play Bad Company 2 with anybody, it looks like it's gonna be Xbox.
Yeah. I don't think anybody really has a PS3 anymore. It's like one of those systems that just...
Excuse me, sir.
Well, besides you and I,
Okay.
but I think that your average gamer, those systems were either traded or they're being used as like a media system, which is essentially what we use ours for.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to seeing how Halo 5 does in the final votes. That's a game that I really didn't give enough time when I picked it up back in the day. But man, Halo brings back memories. Just playing Halo multiplayer in general.
Oh, fuck yeah. Halo 2, I mean, goddamn, like that game was just the pinnacle of multiplayer gaming.
Yep. And I mean, just the memories of getting everybody together with like 18 Xboxes and 100 feet of LAN cable.
Yep, never forget it.
Yeah, man. Gears of War 4 is another great game. The nice thing about Gears of War is you can do campaign co-op or you can do multiplayer. There's a couple different multiplayer modes you could do. So that gives some options. And then, of course, you have the ability to play that particular one cross-play with a PC or the Xbox One, which kind of opens up some doors for somebody who maybe doesn't have an Xbox One.
Right.
So that's kind of cool. And then you have Rocket League, which is, I think, maybe the first game to do cross-platform. And they're all the way. Switch, PS4, Xbox, PC. If you own the game, you should be able to play it with anybody. So I don't know how that's going to work, but that's leading with 5 votes and tied with PUBG, which I suck at, but had fun with.
Well, either way, man,
So.
I mean, I'm just really excited for the idea behind this, and I think the execution will, be a test of time here, but, we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I mean, right now as it stands, I'm hoping to kind of get a final tally of votes put up for everybody, and at this point kind of force people to choose like one game, or maybe limit it to 2. I don't know. I got to look at the voting system, see how all that works. But we got to whittle this down, for certain days and put it together and make it happen. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not part of the Discord, jump on in, and you can join us for these game nights once they start happening.
Sounds good, man. I'm excited.
So let's move on to our final topic for the day, popular franchises that are going to mobile phones. And this is sparked by an article that I read earlier. Dr. Mario is going to be making its mobile appearance this week, available on iOS and Android. And I just kind of want to get your thoughts on popular games or popular franchises having a mobile presence. And when I say mobile, I don't mean portable, like Game Boy Advance or Nintendo Switch or Vita or anything like that. I mean, on your phone.
Yeah, that's it's an interesting concept. I've shared my thoughts on mobile gaming before, that it's not really my thing, but however, I think potentially give it a chance, because I haven't really given it a chance. I've only kind of, had people show me what some of these games are like on phones.
Mm-hmm.
But I always just think, when I think of mobile gaming, not only is it just such a small format, and it's great for on the go, but does it drain the battery quickly? And I guess that's a big concern for me.
Well, the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. And if you do a lot of gaming on your phone will drain battery quicker. I can attest to that. It's happened to me. It happens to anybody that plays mobile games. Does it drain the battery more than Facebook or Twitter or Instagram? I think in some cases, yes. In other cases, probably no. It depends on what the game is doing and how much graphically is happening. If it's kind of like playing a game on the Xbox or the PlayStation. When you're playing something that's really graphically intense, you hear the fans ramp up.
Yeah, no, of course.
that means the system's working harder. If you're playing something that's, kind of light on the graphics, maybe not so much, and that's going to drain your battery less quickly than something that's, super intense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, what are your thoughts about this particular game?
Well, I'm a big Dr. Mario fan. I just love like drop-down puzzlers in general. Tetris, Dr. Mario, Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine is another one. Puyo Puyo, stuff like that. I've always been into those types of games. I'm skeptical. Anytime a popular franchise goes mobile, it tends to be a cash grab. And Nintendo's been experimenting with different ways of monetizing their products on mobile. They had Super Mario Run, which I believe on iOS was an outright purchase. On Android, they were they were giving it away for free, but to unlock the rest of the game, like you had to pay a certain amount. The problem is like there's a bit of a demographic shift, I guess, between iOS and Android. People that are on Android tend not to pay for the games, whereas iOS users tend to be more willing to spend on them.
Is that probably because like the App Store and stuff?
I don't know. Android has a lot of games that are free with microtransactions. And my understanding is, I don't know if it's a philosophy of Apple's App Store or restriction of, or whatever the case is, but there are not a lot of games that are like that with microtransactions on iOS, or at least there didn't used to be. I don't know if that's changed.
Okay.
So I don't know what the pricing structure for Dr. Mario World is going to be. Whether or not it supports in-app purchases, microtransactions, things like that. I am pre-registered for it. I'm looking forward to trying it. I do mobile gaming. I very rarely stick with a game for very long, though. There's really only been one game that I've stuck with in the mobile world for any length of time, and I've been playing it for about 2 years now. It's a Star Trek game. Outside of that, they're just I don't know. For me, it's really tough to kind of capture my interest because, like, playing a shooter on your phone, just for me, it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, I think the only mobile game that I think I ever played that was somewhat kind of like a larger franchise was Metal Gear Solid 4.
How?
I know. I'm telling you, there was a real game. It was like a weird, I don't remember what it was called, but I'm going to find this and I'm going to show it to you. But it was not that great, but somehow it was like executed somewhat well. And I played like a light version of it that was free. I never got the real version that I think was probably like, $10 or $20. And this was years ago, and I think...
Is it called Metal Gear Solid Touch?
Yep.
Oh,
yep,
God.
That was it. And that was, I think, the closest I ever got to playing something that was like somewhat, more recognized than, what else did I play? Ragdoll Launcher or something like that. I mean, these aren't real games. They were just like true mobile games that you can only get through the store. They were not like Mario or Dr. Mario or, Tetris or anything like that.
One of the first mobile games that I fell in love with was on my old flip phone, right? This is like truly the wild, wild west of mobile gaming, right? I had a LG flip phone that had like actual buttons on it and everything. This is way before touchscreens. And there was a Doom RPG that you can download for this thing.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And because it was an RPG, it took the first-person formula of Doom and made it like essentially turn-based. And you had like all these upgrades that you can do, and I remember this game just being like absolutely fucking brilliant, and I would love to play it again because it was so cool. Like, it was, by today's standards, it's probably garbage, but for the time, holy shit, man.
Do you remember like the actual name of it?
Doom RPG. That was the name.
Okay.
That's the name. If you look that up on Google, you'll find it. Let me see if I can find something for you. Let's see here, because it was here's the wiki for it. But what a fun game considering the limitations, and it actually won some awards. It looks like GameSpot gave it an 8.6 out of 10.
Huh.
For like a shitty mobile game. Let me see if I can find you an image. Here we go. Doom Wiki.
Okay.
This is going to be good. How cool is that?
Let me take a look here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah, and when I think of old school Doom, this is what I think of, man. Like, this is the vision that comes to my mind.
Yeah. Yep.
That's very cool.
It had like some really clever weapons too. Like there was an axe. Apparently, I don't remember this, but there was a dog collar you can use. They definitely took some liberties, but overall it was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was clever. Like that's really what it boils down to. It was just very clever, very very original. Took a beloved franchise and worked around the limitations of the format to make something really cool.
Sure. I feel like if anyone knew about this game, it would be you.
Yeah. Yeah. Not many people have played it. If you can ever find a way, I definitely recommend it. So, looks like they have Doom 2 RPG on the iOS store.
Huh.
So if you want to give that a little look-see, it's 99 cents. I will not be able to play that, but maybe you will.
Yeah, because of the iOS, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. But back to Dr. Mario. I'm sure I'll have something to say about it next week if there's any interest in it. So, if you're listening and you want to hear about Dr. Mario World, let me know. If you've played it, let us know. And we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I checked out some video while you were talking about it, just on what the game looks like. And, I don't think it's really my thing, but that's okay. And, if you're more in tune with that, then I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to giving it a try. I'm going to remain optimistic. Nintendo's mobile offerings really haven't been for me up to this point, but Super Mario Run wasn't all that really my interest, and I just don't like Animal Crossing. As much as I've tried it, I just can't get into it. So
yeah, to me that's just the ultimate definition of like you need to be like 6.
Yeah.
To enjoy something like that.
There's a lot of people that absolutely adore Animal Crossing, and I have a feeling you might get lynched.
I'm willing to take that hit.
You know what? I'll defend you. I will defend you because Animal Crossing sucks.
Hey, it's just an opinion.
Except we're right.
God damn it! You're putting me in a box. I want to agree, but I don't want to be lynched. I don't want to be lynched over like a happy-looking like childlike puppy.
You can go harvest some apples or something. Oh man! Anything else you want to cover before we wrap this shindig up?
Play inside with headphones in a dark room, and with the volume up. And when you can do that, come talk to me.
Me personally, or
nope. Everyone listening.
Oh, okay.
And you, maybe you.
Well,
but mostly the listeners.
Fair enough. Folks, thank you for hitting that download button. Please subscribe to the show. And if you can, leave a review. Let us know what you think. Follow us on social media at WDGR Podcast. It's at WDGR Podcast. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Will, if somebody would like to harass you and let you know just how they feel about Animal Crossing, how can they do so?
Send me a fax. Other than that, you can reach me at will_gear. So that's, just to be clear, if it's anything about Animal Crossing, it has to be a fax. Otherwise, I will not reply.
It'll get lost. I heard you had a filter, an Animal Crossing filter.
Yeah. Somehow I program that into the fax machine.
Well, you could do that too, but I mean, like, just, block all emails. If you have an email that comes your way that has the word Animal Crossing in it, it just goes to spam.
Right to spam.
Right to spam.
I don't even see it.
Nope.
Yep.
You can follow me at Scionstorm, where all my Animal Crossing related hate mail will also go to Will. And thank you, everybody, for supporting the show. Join the Discord. Check us out on all the social medias. And, of course, be sure to subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. We really appreciate the support. We really appreciate you being part of our community. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.